A sixth-grade science teacher, Mrs. Parks, asked her class, which human body part increases by 10 times its size when stimulated? Little Mary stood up and said, "You should not be asking sixth graders a question like that. I'm going to tell my parents and they will tell the principal, who will fire you." Mrs. Parks ignored her and asked again. Little Mary's jaw dropped at her teacher's brazen disregard for what she said. The teacher, still ignoring Little Mary, looked around the class and asked, "Does anybody have any guesses?" Finally, Billy nervously stood up and said, "The only body part that can grow 10 times its size when stimulated is the pupil of the eye." Mrs. Parks smiled and said, "Very good, Billy." Then turned to Little Mary and said, "As for you, young lady, I have 3 things to say. 1, you have a dirty mind. 2, you did not read the homework I assigned you yesterday. And 3, one day, you are going to be very disappointed." A man and a woman strike up a conversation at a bar. Eventually, the man asks if his date wants to come back to his place, and she agrees. They make it back to his house and head back to the bedroom and start getting undressed. The man takes off his shoes and socks, revealing feet with missing and deformed toes. "What happened to your feet?" the woman asks. The man answers, "I had polio as a boy." "Don't you mean polio?" the woman says. The man shakes his head. "No, Tolio. It only affects the toes." He pulls down his pants to uncover knees that are covered in blotches and scars. The woman asks, "What about your knees?" The man shrugs and says, "I also had measles." She narrows her eyes. "Not measles?" "No," he says. "Measles only affects the knees." Finally, he pulls off his underwear, and she giggles. "Let me guess, you also had a case of smallpox?" One night, a man followed his wife because he suspected she was cheating on him. He waited for her to leave and then jumped in a taxi to follow her. While following her, he found out she was working in a strip club. The guy said to the taxi driver, "Want to make $500? Intrigued, the taxi driver asks, "What do I need to do?" The man tells him all he needs to do is go into the club, grab his wife, bring her back out, put her in the taxi with him, and take them home. The taxi driver thinks this will be easy money, so he says, "Sure, you wait here, I'll be right back," and went inside. A couple minutes later, the taxi driver comes out the front doors of the strip club, dragging a woman that is punching, kicking, and cursing at him. He drags her to the taxi and throws her in the back seat with the man and says, "Here, hold her." The man looks at the woman and says, "Wait, this isn't my wife." The taxi driver says, "I know, it's mine. I'm going back in for yours." A bus full of ugly people is driving on a road atop a cliff when it falls over the edge and everyone inside dies. Upon reaching heaven, God says, "Since you have all died in a terrible way, I'll grant you each one wish before I let you into heaven." The first woman, always concerned about her looks, comes up to God and says, "I wish to be beautiful." God grants her wish. The second person in line hears this and says, "I want to be beautiful too." This continues as God goes down the line. As he's about halfway down, the last man in line starts laughing. God continues to move down the line, and the man starts laughing harder and harder. The closer God gets to him, the harder he laughs. Finally, God reaches him and asks what his wish will be. The man looks up to God and says, "Make them all ugly again." A Russian man is on vacation to America. While driving, he accidentally collides with an American. The American gets out and starts yelling, "Are you blind or something? You just hit me." The Russian replies, "I'm very sorry, my friend. I am not used to the roads in your country. Here, let us have some vodka to calm our nerves." He pulls a bottle out and hands it to the American and says, "As an apology, I let you drink first." The American takes the bottle and takes a big swig out of it and hands it back to the Russian. The Russian protests, "No, my friend, please have more. I am deeply sorry for what I have done." The American takes another big swig and then hands it back. The Russian takes it and closes it, then sets it down on the ground. The American asks, "Aren't you going to drink?" The Russian replies, "No, my friend, I wait until after the police get here."
Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe so you can learn the secrets of the universe. And also, if you don't subscribe, you'll lose another sock.